Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
We don't have to play them on time. Do you realize that it just came out, there's a new scandal? Trump said it's Tuesday, and the Amazon Post went insane and said that he insulted our allies on the other side of the international date line. That our ally, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, those allies are in absolute shock that Trump said it's Tuesday when in fact it's Wednesday over there. This is an exclusive from the Amazon Post. Diplomatic row just broke out because Trump said it's Tuesday. Now, of course, this is getting to be insane every day. We all now know how sick the media is. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, said that if you tell a big lie often enough, it becomes the truth. Jeff Bezos is the biggest propagandist in American history. He bought the Washington Post, which was already a liberal newsletter, and he turned it into the Amazon Post, which does his bidding against Donald Trump, who threatened to break up Amazon as a monopoly, which it is. Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they're all monopolies. They all need to be broken up. But this guy was so smart that he bought the Washington Post and turned it into an anti-Trump sounding board around the clock. So now we have the new fake scandal, the non-scandal. One day it was this, the next day it was that. The story comes out about the leak, what he said, what he told the Russians. He's the president. He's the president. So he told them, we want to, fight with you against ISIS in this town. And that suddenly is a leak? That's a breach of protocol? I guess if you're senile and you're Nancy Pelosi, it's some kind of crime against humanity. Around-the-clock propaganda by Bezos, the monopolist. Well, my friends, I don't know if I'm going to spend much time on this. I'll tell you how I'm going to start the show today. I actually started it already. I played Arrivederci Roma because he's going to Rome to visit the Pope. And then he's going to Jerusalem. Another one now. A feud with Israel started because of something someone said over the Western Wall. It is in Israel. It isn't in Israel. It's in the West Bank. It's not your territory. We can go there. You don't have to go there. The president's going to go. He's not going to go. It's not your business. You're fired. You're not fired. I never saw anything like this. Whatever he does is wrong. I'll tell you what I think is going on in a few minutes because it's... See, yesterday I predicted or suspected that the hacking was done by North Korea. And I must tell you, I believe I was the first one in the media to say that. Now all of a sudden, it's North Korea. You know how many people listen to this show, derive their ideas from this show, don't credit me? It doesn't matter. I'm Lao Tzu. I'm the Lao Tzu of the airwaves. As long as they're not quoting me but stealing my ideas, I'm happy. I don't need the credit for it. All I need is my ideas circulated. So here's my next idea, for those of you ready to steal another idea. Okay, we hear that the leaker over the latest nun scandal is Israel, which we could have guessed if it's true, that they were listening in. That was their intelligence, rather, that was leaked, that the president, the commander-in-chief, spoke with Russia. Says they're also fighting ISIS, by the way. And they're our best ally against ISIS, by the way. And after Hussein Obama refused to destroy ISIS, Russia stepped in, if you remember the history, and it was the Russian Air Force that made these headcutters run away like the rats that they are. It was only the Russian Air Force that turned the tide. So who hates Russia in this country more than the Democrats? Why does Chuck Schumer want war with Russia? Why does Pelosi want war with Russia? That's the bigger question. And I answered it, by the way, 3 books ago. Oh, yes, I know the whole story. There's a reason they hate Putin. But if I say it, it's the third rail of radio, so I can't tell you who it is. and I can't tell you what the block is, but why they hate Putin. The whole thing is a complete lie. Russia is our natural ally against ISIS. Everybody knows that, except Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the entire illiberal establishment. How about the scandal of the cash that flowed to the Clinton Foundation as the Russians pressed for control of uranium company, April 2015? The headline in Pravda at that time trumpeted President Vladimir Putin's latest coup. Did you know why? Russian nuclear energy conquers the world. The article in January 2013 detailed how the Russian Atomic Energy Agency, Rosatom, had taken over a Canadian company with uranium mining stakes stretching from Central Asia to the American West. The uranium deal made Rosatom one of the world's largest uranium producers and brought Mr. Putin closer to his goal of controlling much of the global uranium supply chain. But the untold story behind that story is one that involves not just the Russian president, but also a former American president and a woman who would like to be the next one. At the heart of the tale are several men, leaders of the Canadian mining industry, who've been major donors to the charitable endeavors of former President Bill Clinton and his family. Members of that group built, financed, and eventually sold off to the Russians a company that would become known as Uranium One. Beyond mines in Kazakhstan that are among the most lucrative in the world, the sale gave the Russians control of 1/5 of all uranium production capacity in the United States. Since uranium is considered a strategic asset with implications for national security, the deal had to be approved by a committee composed of representatives from a number of United States government agencies. Among the agencies that eventually signed off, follow the bouncing woman, was the State Department, then headed by Mr. Clinton's wife, Hillary Rotten Clinton. As the Russians gradually assumed control of Uranium One, listen, I can stop right here. That's the real scandal here. Are the Clintons and the uranium mine. That's one of the big scandals. You know, there's a show. I got to turn the sound up. There's a show tonight about the Madoffs coming up with this time Robert De Niro playing Madoff. And by the preview that I heard, he does a terrible job. It's a flop. The problem with Robert De Niro playing Madoff is that Robert De Niro never changes character. He plays Robert De Niro in every role. It's the lazy man's form of acting. There was a Madoff biopic done a year ago with who? The guy I always didn't like. What's his name, Robert? He was actually excellent. Richard Dreyfuss. He did a perfect job because he is like Madoff. He looks like the known that Madoff is. But in the Madoff biopic of a few years ago, you know Madoff, the guy who scammed $50 billion and destroyed thousands and thousands of families, including Jewish charities that trusted him because he was Jewish. Ooh, chalk on a blackboard. Oh, I said the J word. Oy vey. They trusted him because he was one of them, and he robbed them anyway. Madoff robbed everyone in sight. His son committed suicide, hanging himself in a closet. The other one got a rare form of cancer and died. He destroyed his whole family. It's biblical what Madoff did. But in that biopic, the Dreyfuss character says, they have the Dreyfuss character playing Madoff, and he says, you think I'm the scam artist because I ran a Ponzi scheme that stole $50 billion? He said, well, it's true. He said, but the bigger scam artists are those who run Wall Street. They're running a Ponzi scheme that's 100 times larger. And he said, the bigger scam artists are the ones running the U.S. Treasury. They're running something 100,000 times larger. He said, I only ran a Ponzi scheme within a Ponzi scheme within a Ponzi scheme. How do you like that? And now, my friends, it's time for my opening prayer, something I say every day privately before the show begins. It's very brief. Don't get nervous. It's something that used to be said in courtrooms before the, what do I call them now? Before the diminutive polyps took over the media. All I do is put my hand on my Old Testament and I say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And sometimes I add things to it. I look up at heaven and I say, God, give me the strength to do your bidding and not make a schmuck of myself. Amen. That's my prayer. So that's what I hope today on the Savage Nation. The Amazon Post, around-the-clock propaganda by Bezos, the monopolist. Trump's Holy Land tour coming up. First, I think he's visiting the Vatican first for a triple scoop of ice cream with the Pope. And then he's on to Jerusalem. then on to Saudi Arabia. So it's a threefer. I wonder if he's going to go to Mecca. Is he allowed into Mecca? I don't know. Christians can't go. There's a very open, it's a very open, tolerant religion, Islam. Just go to Harvard. That's what you learn. But don't go there if you're a Christian. Oh, it's an open religion. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they convert you, it's an open religion. So he's going Rome, Jerusalem, Saudi Arabia. That's when he should have fired Comey while he was on the road. Should have read Jack Kerouac's book. He would have known what to do. That's a little too esoteric. I get it. U.S. officials' remarks sparks feud with Israel ahead of Trump visit. Another spat now, New York Post. All that happened was an Israeli team that joined U.S. officials on a scouting trip Monday requested that PM Benjamin Netanyahu accompany Trump and his family to the site, which is the Wailing Wall. You see, no American president has ever visited the Wailing Wall. So one of Trump's minions said, this isn't your territory, this is in the West Bank, it is a private visit by the president, and it's not your business. Oh. His name is David Burns, the political counselor at the U.S. consulate in Jerusalem, and apparently Netanyahu's office was shocked at the incendiary statement about the Western. This is something that no one even understands, the whole Western Wall thing. But the picture that got me sick today was the U.S. ambassador, Bernstein, kissing the Wailing Wall. You know, what's the kissing of the Western Wall? Now, it's something you have to understand. How many mouths kissed that wall before he kissed that wall? You know that the germs could be on the wall, the dirty germs from the last mouth. You don't know where the mouth came from. I think you should spray the Western Wall with Lysol before you kiss it. But to be serious, put saran wrap on the wall. But to be even more serious, how about getting a brain and not kissing the Western Wall? You know, I went to Jerusalem in 1977, so like all naive Americans, I said, I want to visit the Western Wall. So a very brilliant Israeli scholar said to me, why would you want to visit that relic? And I looked at him with astonishment. I said, isn't it a holy site? He said, no, it was only the foundation wall for the ancient temple. He said, the real thing to visit over there is the mosque that the Arabs built after they conquered Jerusalem and knocked down the Jewish temple, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. He said, that's what you should really see. He set things right. I love every time you read a news report that says, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam. What does that make London the fourth holiest site in Islam? Everything's the holiest site in Islam. Everything they conquered was the holiest site. Everything's the holiest site in Islam. Ooh. So they conquered Jerusalem, they knocked down the Jewish temple, and they built a mosque on it. That's theirs? Why is that theirs? Why? Thank the people in the fake media. That's why. I'll be back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
You're listening to Michael Savage. Coming up at 3, it's Mark Levin on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Now they're going to get a threefer out of the Amazon coast is trying to now turn Israel and the U.S. against each other. It's not bad enough Bezos is trying to destroy Trump because Trump has threatened to break Amazon up because it's a monopoly. So now Bezos, the devil, is now saying Israel was the source of intelligence that Trump shared with the Russians. So now they're trying to pit, before he goes to Israel, even try to make that a disaster. You know, you have to ask yourself, are the Democrats that smart or that evil? Or is evil that smart? You know, it's unbelievable to me. Like, they're pitting him against Netanyahu now before he even gets there. There's a fight. So who's behind all of this? Is it Bezos? Is it Soros? George Soros? Who could keep up with it? And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much in largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the East and all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than all men. And there came of all peoples to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all kings of the earth who had heard of his wisdom. And we'd like to have a president like that, wouldn't we? We did, of course. It was Obama. He was the wisest man in the history of the entire world. He's so smart that he made the dummies of America think he was for the poor. And at the end of his tenure, he went to every rich island on earth with the richest people on earth after putting down millionaires and billionaires. And he was so smart that the progressives didn't know that he got a $70 million book advance for being so much a champion of the poor, or a $400,000 a fee for a speech on Wall Street. And yet they still believed in him. Just shows you how smart Obama was, that he can get away with it. But we do have breaking news now. It's another scandal. Trump just announced that it is Tuesday, and in doing so, he alienated our allies in Australia and New Zealand, because over there it's Wednesday. And we hear that that's a new diplomatic row caused by Donald Trump for saying it's Tuesday. It was just leaked to us by the Washington Post. It sparked a feud with Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, because it is not Tuesday over there. And frankly, we don't really know where Trump got the idea that it's Tuesday. We hear it came from the Russians. We hear that one of the Russian ambassador told him that it's actually Tuesday, but on the Gregorian calendar, it's actually Wednesday. But it was disinformation put out by the old KGB. Yeah, right. So we're not going to talk about this. It's boring already. Every day, another one. 2 adults, 2 boys missing when plane vanishes off Bahamas. Now making it the triangle already. Now it's everything in the fake news has to turn into some scandalous story. A plane goes down in the Bahamas, which is okay. It happens. Not a fun story. They're making it went down in the triangle. The triangle already. The triangle. The dangerous triangle. Yeah, okay. Trump defends firing Comey. That's old news. Who's Comey? Comey? Comey. Say it 100 times. No one knows who he is anymore. Comey. 855-47282. We're not talking about these topics. We're talking about the insanity of those in the drugged up fake news business and the drugged up politicians who are obsessed with Russia.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
There's just something wrong with this picture. All at the same time as people are saying, and this you have to be careful because this is its own incident, but it's about Russia. And every day I ask the question, what do the Russians have on Donald Trump? Financially, politically, or personally, that he's always catering to them.
Okay, again, Russia. Russia. Why did the Democrats, why have they demonized Russia? Has anyone actually figured out why they hate Russia all of a sudden? There was a time they loved Russia. When Russia was pure communist, they loved Russia. They were sympathetic to Russia. Now the Democrat Socialist Islamist Party USA, of which Pelosi seems to be the titular head, is now anti-Russian. I know why. I mean, I can't say it because it'll be the end of my career. And I think you can follow the dots. I wrote about it in Government Zero. There's a reason they hate Putin more than any other leader on the planet. But I can't say it because it's the end of the story here. And I don't want to go down that road. It's unnecessary. It's, you know what I really wanted to talk about today? Not this stuff that much. It's too much already. Boring. Tonight is this Madoff biopic, as I said before. And I've seen the early one, which I liked a lot because he played it very well, the little pudgy actor, who I didn't like that much before, but he was great as Madoff because he looks like a crook. He looks like a crooked creep. De Niro can't play Madoff because he doesn't have the right look for it. He doesn't have a creepy enough look. But the biggest story is Madoff. Is anyone listening to the show Robbed by Madoff? Did you? And I want to know if you were robbed by Bernie Madoff. Has your life recovered? Did you get anything back from the crooked guy that they put in charge of recovering the money, who stole most of it for his law firm, whoever his name was? Don't give me his name, I'll get sued. He took so much money for going. And then number 2, has anyone been scammed by Madoff? How much did you lose? How much have you recovered? The bigger question is, should Bernie Madoff's wife be free? I don't think so. Why did they give her $2.5 million and let her live? I don't care whether it's a small condo in Connecticut. Are you telling me you live with a crook like that and you don't know what he's doing? Oh, I had no idea. Oh, I knew he was such a brilliant businessman. Why is she not in an orange jumpsuit in a women's prison somewhere in North Carolina cleaning toilets. Why is that a wrong question? Or you're not interested in that either? I can see already it's like the little man in the chair went to sleep. I think people are burned out from all of this. Jerry, in a washing machine? Jerry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi, Mike, Dr. Savage. This is Jerry, and I am a physician. I'm an Orthodox Jew. Small Jewish children from the age of 2 and 3 learn that if a religious book falls to the floor, they kiss it. People kiss the covering of the Torah all the time. And people, and I included, have kissed the wall hundreds of times, and nobody gets sick from kissing it. It's not like
I guess it's divine intervention. Somehow God stops the bacteria from spreading.
I think that it's.
I know about rituals. I understand rituals, but you're a doctor, which means you're originally a man of science. I think kissing the Western Wall is absurd.
I think your book of speaking about God, this is God's home. At least that's what we believe. And if it's God's home, I don't see anything that would be detrimental with expressing.
As the Israeli professor said to me in 1979, I believe, or 78, I don't know when I was there, and I was not visiting the Russians. When I was there, he said, "Why are you visiting the Western Wall? All it is the old foundation of the Jewish temple. It's not really anything important." He said it's significant. It's not even significant architecturally. Why is it so holy to religious Jews?
It is the most important site to religious Jews.
But I'm asking you why.
Because that's where the temple was. That's where God resided in his earthly being.
What do you mean he resided? He lived inside the temple?
Wrongly. That's where
God only lived in that temple?
No, but that's where we had our closest revelation to him and our closest being to him, and it's what we long for, the return of that.
You know, I don't mock the next man's belief system. As I said yesterday, I'm really not a scoffer. I'm a believer. But there comes a point at which it becomes very hard to believe certain things. And one of the things that I find hard to believe is that kissing a piece of stone in Jerusalem is going to do anything for you. Or all the people who go there and put a piece of paper in it with a prayer. So what God's watching in heaven, and with the believe when the lights go out and all the boys and girls go to sleep, like Santa Claus, God comes down and collects the little pieces of paper from the Wailing Wall, and he sorts through them in Jupiter somewhere, and he decides which wishes to grant?
I think you're being a little sarcastic, and
I'm sure I'm very sarcastic. I mean, enough is enough already. There's a certain point at which rituals become absurd. Rituals become anti-God. They become a worship unto themselves, which is idolatry. In other words, rituals carried to a certain point become idolatry. I don't think anyone understands that.
I'll understand that. I think that we have, as I said, in your upbringing, have you ever seen a scroll, a Jewish scroll?
Not only in my upbringing, I see them quite often. There's nothing unusual about a Jewish scroll.
When you learn with your Lubavitch rabbis, you know that they constantly kiss the Torah scroll.
And I refuse to, I will not kiss a Torah scroll after some old man with cheesecake on his beard kissed it. I won't kiss it, no.
Okay, so then
I don't need his germs in my lips. I don't know where the scroll was before. Where was the scroll the night before? I don't know who it was with.
All I know is I grew up, I have no allergies, and maybe the people who are not kissing it, that's why they have so many allergies nowadays.
So you have great faith, and it gives you strength to go on, and I respect that. But I think it's absurd to kiss a bunch of stone in Israel. But let's talk about this from a political point of view. Trump wants to go to the Western Wall. No U.S. president, no sitting U.S. president has ever done that. And there was a big hullabaloo now because Netanyahu wanted to be there with him, and one of Trump's staffers said, it's not yours, it's in the West Bank. What do you think of that scandal?
I think that there is no scandal. I think that if President Trump wants to go to the Western Wall, I think he should be able to go. I think that, and I am pro-Israel, of course, I think that they're trying to just strengthen the position of moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and which is a good thing. And I think that it's probably not Netanyahu who is upset, but some little munchkin in his governmental system, just like we have these little governmental munchkins who are creating all of the troubles that we hear in daily.
Well, look, you and I probably agree on more things than we disagree, and I don't need to be antagonistic just to be antagonistic. But I think at a certain point, common sense should override ritualistic behavior, number one. And number two, and you can still be a believer, common sense and common medical knowledge should override some ancient rituals. As I have said before with circumcision, with regard to old men, I'm sorry to say, using their lips after the circumcision, which I find to be more than barbaric, it's sickening. And you as a doctor, what would you say to that one if you want to bring up the Bible and behavior?
I have 3 sons. They're all grown, married with children, and all 3 of them had what you have described. And
well, I think that's child abuse, in my opinion. I think it's an ancient ritual that is abusive to children. There is no medical reason whatsoever to let a rabbi or moel kiss a little boy's penis after a circumcision. It's insanity. And not only is it insanity from a psychological point of view, but it also is spreading a disease. And for that reason, legislators actually stepped into this debate.
Studies have been shown, have been refuted, and in fact, the mohel who was this one case in New York of allegedly causing herpes simplex to be transmitted to a baby. In fact, that baby had the next baby from that same family had the same mohel, and there was no transmission of any disease. And the studies have shown that, in fact, this is probably a one-off. Do
you think that it has no psychological effect on an infant for a grown man to put his mouth in the most intimate male portion of his body before any woman ever touches it? A male should be the first thing he feels?
You have to learn a little more Kabbalah. You have to learn.
No, I'd have to learn more Kabbalah. I have common sense. I don't need to study an old book to know what's wrong and what's right.
Sense is not.
I think you need to pull your head out of the Kabbalah and start looking at reality, and that you've got a lot of people doing things that are totally crazy or meshuggah, as you would say in Yiddish, that are no longer relevant in this world and this place and this time. And I'm not alone in that. And I've had Orthodox Jews agree with me. You know, your opinion is not the only opinion in the Orthodox world, incidentally.
Understand that at least on the radio, many people will not go up against you on these kind of
you could go up against me, but you're speaking as though you speak for all Orthodox Jews, but you don't. You speak for a small percentage of Orthodox Jews who believe that an old man kissing a little boy after a circumcision in the most intimate part of that boy is kosher. I think it's sickening, by the way. And by the way, what's the reason for that?
I can't do this in 30 seconds, sir.
Well, you just said that you want to go up against me. Give it to me. If you're such a Kabbalist, give it to me in 30 seconds.
There is a relationship between the area of the mouth and the circumcision. They have the same numerical value. They represent the parts of the body that represent Elohim, which is God. And
well, here we go. I think you ought to consult with Nancy Pelosi because her district includes people who believe that.
I won't allow this. I won't allow you to mock. You're very.
I won't allow you to mock common sense or science either. By quoting an ancient book, the ancient books have some sugar things in it, like kill an adulterer or kill homosexuals. What? There's a numeric reason for that?
Dr. Savage, there are many things that you're very...
Well, no, wait a minute. You just said that wait a minute. You said I'm mocking the Holy Book. The Holy Book has some crazy crap in it, like kill adulterers, stone her to death, or kill homosexuals. You don't believe in that, do you?
We're losing the thread of the conversation.
No, we're not. We're gaining the thread of the conversation. You're losing it because you're losing the argument from the point of view of a secular, logical man. You're trying to deny what I'm saying has any truth to it because I'm not quoting some ancient text.
Well, most knowledge is based on ancient texts, which then are looked at through the light of the present. you have not yet delved into enough of the textual material to have an opinion.
But I don't have to study the Quran in great detail to know that cutting the throat of the infidel is wrong, or kill a Jew wherever you meet him is wrong. Do I? Do I have to study the Quran to know that that's insane?
Right? No, you don't.
All right. So thank you for the call. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
You're listening to Michael Savage. Coming up tomorrow morning from 5 to 9, it's the KSFO Morning Show on Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Dr. Michael Savage here. Let's talk about blood flow for a moment. We talk about blood flow. Well, you all know that healthy circulation is critical, especially as we get older. And there is a natural way to support healthy blood flow, and that's by getting enough dietary nitrates into your body, which convert into nitric oxide. It's not that complicated. Super Beets is the easiest way to get these natural dietary nitrates. One scoop in water or a smoothie, and you're all set. This is the secret to helping support healthy circulation and healthy blood pressure levels. Super Beets works 3 times faster to give you results you can feel, plus it tastes great. It's all about blood flow. I take Super Beets every day. I can feel the energy and stamina it gives me within 20 minutes. So call 800-481-0504. That's 800-481-0504. Or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. That's SavageLovesBeets.com. And you're going to get a 30-day free supply with your first order, backed by a money-back guarantee, and you're going to get a free book, Beat the Odds, free shipping on your entire order. You're going to love the results you feel with your first free canister, guaranteed your money back. It's simple. 800-481-0504. 855, I shouldn't give you my phone number. It'll confuse you from what I just read to you. So, okay, there we go again. We forgot already North Korea. We forgot North Korea. We forgot all of the obsessions we had before. Now it's all about this, and it leaks, and this, and that, and this, and that, the leaks, and Trump is no good. Trump said it's Tuesday, and it's not Tuesday. And in Australia, says Bezos, it's Wednesday. So Australia's now mad at us. The whole thing's sickening. If ever you wanted to know how corrupt and evil a propagandist media could be, you have an example of it today. I've not seen anything like it in my life. Never in my whole life. Then Trump going to the Wailing Wall. That's a big story. That's a big story. I don't know that he should go there, frankly. I mean, it's a good thing for... See, here's what I think. There's a setup going on here. I'm going to make a prediction, and I don't know. My guess is this is a 50-50 prediction. I shouldn't even say it's a prediction. Trump going to Israel, okay. But Trump being the first sitting U.S. president to go to the Wailing Wall, that's a 50-50 shot that he's doing it for the following reason. And the following reason may be that he's going to shock the world when he gets there, and especially the Israeli Jews and the Jewish community in the world, the Jewish communities around the world, when he says that he's for a 2-state solution, and he's going to move immediately to create a Palestinian state in the West Bank, and that could be why he's doing this. I think he's going to do a twofer on this. I think he's going to try and get a double out of it. That's what I think is the backdrop to this. And in the minute he does that, the diminutive polyps in the media will like him again. If he were to attack Israel and call for a 2-state solution, the Anderson Coopers, the Wolf Blitzers, and the other losers, the diminutive polyps of the media, would suddenly be in love with Trump for that moment. They'd leave him alone. Nancy Pelosi would stop stuttering for a second. She'd find her bearings again for 2 seconds. All he's got to do is say 2-state solution, and I want a Palestinian state within a year. That's it. They're in love with him again. And it could be that's what he's going to do, and that's why he's going to the West Bank to do it. I said it's a 50-50. Just as I predicted yesterday, and I hadn't heard it anywhere else, that it's North Korea behind the vast worldwide computer hacking. I mean, I was the one to do it. I didn't read it anywhere. I tried to apply Aristotelian logic to an illogical world. This is the Savage Nation. Be here or be nowhere.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked her for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture, and here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Laura Bell Bottom, Studio 54, not. I was schlepping in the jungles of the Fiji Islands trying to make a living. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. I missed that whole phase. I wasn't in New York during those days. I had left in, I don't know when. I hated it at the time. You know, all the people, the gloom and doomers, it's all coming down, man. New York's going to fall apart. The smart ones stayed there and bought slum housing. They made billions of dollars and became congressmen and senators. But I try to save the world. Here I am. I didn't do so badly. Just followed my own drum, and that's it. So we're talking about different things. Comey. We want to look at Comey. I'll tell you what Trump's missing. He's missing a Roy Cohn. That's it. He doesn't have an aggressive, smart, brilliant attack dog. He doesn't have one around him that can do that for him. And if you want to talk about the whole Comey mishap, I'll tell you exactly what was wrong here. It was not firing Comey. It was the way it was done and the timing. He's leaving, Wednesday Erdogan is coming here. That I cannot figure out. I can figure it out a little bit. Erdogan of Turkey, who said flood Jerusalem with Muslims, is coming on Wednesday. That should be nice. I hope he shakes Jared Kushner's hand. That should be good. That's Erdogan on Wednesday. Then he's leaving for Europe, I guess. The president is on Friday, I guess. Big trip. Big trip. He should have gone on the trip and had Comey fired while he was away. Wouldn't have been a big deal. But he made it personal, as I said last week. Became like a street fight in Queens. Shouldn't have been that way. Timing was wrong. There's nobody there advising him properly. And I'm going to give you another example, if you want to hear it. Well, you wouldn't be tuned in if you didn't want to hear it. So here it is anyway. He did an interview with this guy, Lester Dolt. Not the brightest one in the media. This one, you could see right off the bat, is not on the top of the heap of the IQ, in the IQ department. I saw it during the debates. Don't you remember what Lester Dolt did to him? Why would he even submit himself to an interview with Lester Dolt? That's number one. I would have put an X through it, say, what, are you kidding me? After what that SOB did to me? No, let him go, you know where. Let him go interview Pocahontas. Okay, so then he goes to the interview with Dolt, and what happens next? You turn on the Drudge Report. There was a picture of the President of the United States sitting across from Lester Dolt, some guy from CBS, just a guy from CBS, and they're in equal-sized chairs, and Trump is sitting on the edge of his chair, leaning forward, as though Lester Dolt is the president, and he's a student who's in there to be admonished by the principal. I said, who's advising him? You don't let a president diminish himself like this. He doesn't have anyone around him who's media-wise. That's number one. I can tell you off the bat, nobody in his entire Department of Communications. You want to start firing someone, Donald? Start with your communications director who won't let you come on talk radio. He is the biggest schmuck that you have around you. Send you to Liberty University, where there 12,000 people saw that speech. My AQH is 400,000 every 15 minutes. Where are you, Donald Trump? They're asking. Nowhere to be found because they're keeping you away from me. They hate conservatives. They think that we're all deplorables, and they are destroying you. That's number one. Get rid of your communications director. And number two, the next time you agree to an interview, have somebody advise you on how to sit, what angle to sit at. Make sure you're in a higher seat than the interviewer. Number three, make sure that the camera angles are right. No one there. He doesn't have a director. See, it's all wrong. Obama had it all down. He knew how to do this. He had Hollywood people around him. They advised him properly to make him look far better than he was. And so he got away with it for 8 straight years. He always was looking imperial, remember? Whenever Obama gave an interview, he was the imperial wizard, sitting up there up high. And the media guy was what he is, which is a diminutive polyp. Okay, so that was 2. So I gave you a 2-shotter there for 1. Now we can move on. Here's the news stories that we pulled. I just said to my assistant, where are the news stories I asked you to pull this morning? So he says to me, they're on your stool. I said, what are you doing now? What are you giving me, scatological jokes now? I said, just talked about a colonoscopy. You say they're on your stool. Cut it out. See what's happening? It's like it's warping my mind, the whole event. Supreme Court throws out North Carolina voter ID bid, killing law. No, it doesn't. It really didn't kill the law. It killed it for now. And if this government had guts, we'd refile this case. And when we get 5-4, the full Supreme Court, we vote again. Okay, weekend news. These are the stories I pulled over the weekend. Assange and Snowden, they are the ultimate villains of the cyber attack. Agreed. Because they ripped off the codes out of the CIA, and they are the ones responsible for this. As it was written, it says, freedom doesn't mean shouting fire in a crowded theater. Is it time to make Bitcoin and WikiLeaks illegal? Wow, good question. Let's see, James Comey, not just incompetent, but he placed American lives at risk. Steve Baldwin, American Spectator. Very true. The only thing that Comey ever did, crime was raging around him, terrorists were setting off bombs and killing people. He put Martha Stewart in jail. That's who James Comey is. He was not the straight shooting Boy Scout that he made himself look like. He was not Elliot Ness at all. He was a fraud. Let's see another one. Take a tour of the luxurious Italian villa where the Obamas are reportedly vacationing. From the Business Insider. Oh, yeah. I've been having a good time. Richard Branson's private Necker Island, Marlon Brando's former island in Tahiti. Then they went to Milan, Italy, where he gave a big speech for millions of dollars on climate change. I love that. He's sitting on one billionaire's yacht after another. You know what kind of diesel fuel they burn? Does anyone know what diesel fuel is burned on a super yacht? I do. You want the gallons per hour off the generator alone? Awful lot of carbon emission on that one. Now he's going to the Tuscan countryside, the man of the people. He's going to Borgo Finocchietto. What is it, Borgo Finocchio? No, Borgo Finocchietto. Borgo Finocchio? No, Borgo. I'm not good with Italian, pardon me. Borgo Finocchietto, a luxurious hilltop villa in Buon Convento, where he'll be joined by his wife, Michelle. Oh, that's who his wife is. How do you like that? I never knew that. Borgo Finocchietto is a private village made up of 5 houses that can house up to 44 guests, 6 acres. And so that's where your president, the man of the people, is going. He's going to... It's so predictably middle class and boring. Why do they all want to go to these places? I wouldn't go there for 10 minutes. The Tuscan countryside, I'd have to call a helicopter to get me out of there after one night. I wouldn't sleep for 2 seconds. Just to listening to who wants to be there? If I want to go to the Tuscan countryside, you know what I do? I don't go there, number one. Number 2, I go to North Beach in San Francisco and I go into a Tuscan restaurant if I can find one that approximates it with like wall murals of Tuscany. Right? I have a bowl of spaghetti Toscanino and a glass of wine from Tuscany and go home. And I'm in my own bed with my own pillow. Why would you want to go there? What's the big deal about Tuscany? There was a movie made about it. So middle class. It's so predictable and boring. You sit in a farmhouse that's been converted. You go out of your mind. I can't take those places. Why do people do such things? This is all he wanted to do. The years he was ruining the world, 8 years, he wanted to go to Tuscany. And Necker Island with that guy, Branson? What's on Necker Island? What's he going to get there? I went past Necker Island last spring, actually, on a tour of the British Virgin Islands on a friend's yacht. It's really quite beautiful. The BVI is like my favorite place now. It's a little boring, but nice. Water's beautiful. And clean, nice. All of the swindlers live there. Very well maintained. All the swindlers hide their money in the BVI. They all have these great villas. They fly in and fly out. All the money that's hidden and stolen goes into the banks over there. Nice place. No litter on the ground. No crime. A lot of mosques going up in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Oh, yeah, lots of mosques. Wherever you turn. Allah be great. Yeah. So let's see what else is in the news. We did Lawrence Tribe, who's off the reservation. Let's see. Oh, this is one that I don't know how to get into it, really. but I couldn't stop reading it. It was Brad Gray, the former Paramount Pictures chairman and CEO, died on Sunday of cancer. He was 59. Now, of course, you see the name Brad Gray. If you were a Sopranos fan, as I still am, and you love the movie The Departed, which I did, this guy was a genius. I don't know, died of cancer at 59. Statistically, not a big, shocker in a way. 59, okay, people die, But the thing is, you looked at how he got started. I didn't know Brad Gray came from the Bronx, and he went to like a University of Buffalo, where he met Harvey Weinstein, and then they got into the concert promotion business together. I didn't know any of this. And then he moved into the world of stand-up comedy, formed a partnership with Bernie Brillstein, which eventually became the Brillstein-Gray entertainment business. They're like giants, and they made and broke people. Then he produced the Gary Shandling Show. That was a big hit on HBO. Larry Sanders Show. Then they had a big fight. Shandling sued Gray for $100 million for breach of duties. I like that one. Breach of duties. I never heard of that lawsuit. Let me put that one up on my list. Breach of duties. That's a good one, Jim. I know you could sue someone for breach of duties. He claimed that Gray had inappropriately enriched himself by taking fees on the Larry Sanders Show from Shandling and from HBO. Gary countersued for breach of contract. Their feud split the entertainment industry into factions, blah, 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 with the likes of Warren Beatty and former agent Sue Mengers trying to broker a peace. Suits were settled. Shandling died of pulmonary thrombosis at age of 66. Then they go into DreamWorks deal, which that blew up. I found it interesting. Just not a big deal. And another lawsuit. Everyone sues in the entertainment business. One day they're best of friends, the next day they're suing. That's the way it's done amongst people without any honor. Gray is survived by his wife, Cassandra, their son, Jules, his 3 grown children, Sam, Max, and Emily, from his marriage to Jill, née Gutterson Gray, his mother, Barbara Shumsky, his brother, Michael Gray, and his sister, Robin Gray. Well, he brought a lot of great stuff to the world. By just giving me The Sopranos, this guy gave me hours and hours and hours of relief. Do you know that to this day I still watch that on replay? It's so well done. No one watches it anymore, but I do. I actually search for it. I like the Blue Comet, where the fat guy gets shot over the train set. That's a good one. A couple of favorite scenes I look for. The fight, the famous fight where you get sprayed the guy in the eye with like Raid, then kills him by banging his head on the ground. The toupee falls off. That was good. New York Post, Michael Goodwin. Trump is making it hard for even supporters to back him. Now that's a story. That's a story. That's a story. That's the story. But I'm not going to get into it. It's just a good article. I recommend you read it. Because Michael Goodwin is as close as you're going to get to being a Trump supporter, but even he's saying, "Ay, what are you doing to me?" Even I don't know where to go with this one, right? He's saying, "Oh, my God, Donald, please give me a break here. Make it a little easier for me," right? But I'm still getting calls on the God thing. So if you want to call on God or anything else, the phone number is 855-407-2828, 855-407-SAVAGE, 855-407-SAVAGE, 855-407-2828. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Here's a great story. I'm looking for inspiring stories in this age of negativity and BS, left and right hatred from all of these polyps in the media. I'm not calling them vermin anymore. I'm going to call them polyps. They're more interesting. That's what they like, polyps. They're not people. Polyps with ties. British World War II veteran, 101 years of age, breaks skydiving record. Can you believe this? A 101-year-old D-Day veteran has become the oldest person in the world to skydive. Bryson William Verdun Hayes, 15,000 feet, with members of his family in southwestern England. Among those jumping were Hayes' son, grandson, great-grandson, and great-great-granddaughter. What? That's awesome. He wanted to try skydiving when he was 90, but was talked out of it at the time by his late wife. He jumped the first time last year at 100. You hear this? What you could do it in you don't have to give up and die. Hayes served in the British Army during World War II and was awarded France's Legion of Honor for his heroic actions. So you know the guy was guts. He has guts from the toenail to the head. The great, great men who saved this world. There they are. 101 years old. I wouldn't do it. I myself, I'm inspired by the story, but not to jump out of a plane at 101 or at my age. I'm not doing it. Couple of reasons. I probably get a heart attack, number one. I mean, just the whole thing. It's like the world falls out from under your feet. He was probably a parachutist in World War II if he was a hero like that, right? He jumped behind enemy lines and all. I don't know. I just wouldn't do it. I wanted to talk about acid trips for a minute, mescaline for a minute. I don't know why. I was reading one of my old books, The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, and Heaven and Hell. And he was such a big proponent of mescaline. I think he overrated it, by the way. Many years later, his deceased widow, Laura Archera Huxley, wrote that I think he was, because I met her in the 60s in L.A. I went to interview her for a book I was doing, never published. And she said that they communicated in the next world and this and that. And he said to her he overrated mescaline. But in this book, he says that mescaline administered in suitable doses changes the quality of consciousness more profoundly and yet is less toxic than any other substance in the pharmacologist's repertory. And he goes on about the Mexicans, the Indians of Mexico, and, the American Southwest. There was a friend of immemorially long-standing, much more than a friend. He's talking about the cactus, right? In the words of one of the early Spanish visitors to the New World, they eat a root which they call peyote and which they venerate as though it were a deity. How'd it work out for them? It worked out real well. They're sitting there getting ripped on mescaline buttons, and the conquistadors took their whole land away from them. Very nice. Really worked out well. That's why we're being overrun, because of medical marijuana. Because of the large numbers of stupid drug addicts in this country. The types to tune in and laugh at HBO nun jokes. Because of idiots who are stoned day and night. Have you ever heard of anything like this? This nation is so drugged. Legal, illegal. It doesn't matter. Everyone's drugged. Mostly drug addicts, a country of drug addicts. We are so vulnerable to anything you can imagine. You had a president, Obama, brings in diseased people with Zika, and no one says a word. That was impeachable, Lawrence Trieb. That was an impeachable offense. Offending the health of a nation? Offending the health of a nation by bringing in known disease, people with a known viral disease that didn't exist in this country. Obama could have been impeached for that. Do you know that? I shouldn't yell, because a lot of the girls get scared listening to the show. They like me, then they hear a man getting angry and they turn it off. They think it's their father that they hated. And there's a whole thing with that. I can't go into it. They all have a father issue, right? From a whole generation of brainwashing. You got to suppress the testosterone on radio. It's got to be like under the surface and quiet. It's got to be like Metro, not.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Dr. Michael Savage back with you here. Many people don't know this, but I used to be the director of nutrition for one of America's largest health food chains. It's a fact. Super Beets is one of the most impressive natural functional foods I've ever seen in my career. That's why I chose to speak about them. You see, it's about blood flow, blood flow, blood flow. See, beets are loaded with dietary nitrates, convert to nitric oxide in the body. You know what that does, right? Hello, guys. Super Beets is the easiest way to get these natural dietary nitrates to specifically help with blood flow and circulation. Super Beets works 3 times faster to give you results you can feel, plus it tastes great. I use Super Beets. It's great stuff. I can feel the energy and stamina it gives me within 20 minutes, and I want you to feel it too. So call 800-481-0504. That's 800-481-0504, or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. That's SavageLovesBeets.com. You're going to get a 30-day supply for free. It comes with your first order. It is backed by a money-back guarantee. You're going to also you're going to get a free book. Beat the odds, free shipping on your entire order. You're going to love the results that you feel with your first free canister of Super Beets, or you get your money back. It's that simple. You got it? 800-481-0504. 800-481-0504. You know what I wanted to do, since I talked about God, and a lot of atheists listen to the show as well, drug addicts, atheists, things like that. They like my voice. They like my sense of humor. They like the unpredictability, all the junkies. So I was looking at The Doors of Perception, Heaven and Hell, book I've kept for years. You know, William Blake, Blake's drawing, and the whole thing about mescaline. Is anyone out there who uses buttons or acid? Why do you use that stuff? What does it do for you? What do you see that you don't want to see? I mean, that you want to see? And I don't know why you'd want to this. You're under the influence of mescaline or LSD. I mean, if I were you, I would take nicotinic acid immediately to stop it. Incidentally, it's interesting that if you're on an acid trip, this is a very interesting one. The antidote to mescaline high or an LSD high is nicotinic acid, niacin, right? And that's a very intriguing idea for you to remember. If you're a little skitsy, or you get really edgy and you start to like feel like you're losing control of reality or stuff, you absolutely should have niacin. I don't think you know any of this. This is really well known. It was very well studied by Dr. Hoffer. Incidentally, one of the reasons that many religions had you fast for a long period of time was to induce visionary experiences, because by fasting, you reduce the amount of sugar to the brain, and fasting lowers the brain's biological efficiency, and it makes it possible for the consciousness to be, let us say, entered by material that has no survival value whatsoever. And then by fasting, you induce a vitamin deficiency, and that removes from your blood the known inhibitor of visions, niacin, nicotinic acid. It's so important. That's B3. This is amazing. And I can talk about this at great length. I've studied it for a great deal of time because I myself am totally opposed to psychedelics. I believe that psychedelics are useful for people who have no imagination whatsoever. In my experience, even when I was younger and people were using acid, I wouldn't use it because my mind was too refined. I used to say, you know what, I don't need it. My mind is like a Stradivarius. I really don't need to throw anything into the violin. I mean, if you have a brain like a banjo with one string, go ahead, play with the buttons. Maybe you need to. My brain vibrates without it. I don't need that stuff. You don't take a fine mind and screw it up with mescaline or LSD. If you're a dummy, use drugs. Then maybe your brain will vibrate a little bit and you'll feel something or think that you're a genius. But nevertheless, if you confine a prisoner or any person to a restricted environment, you put him in a cell where there's no light, no sound, nothing to smell. Are you listening? You know what happens? That person starts to see things. They'll start to hear things. They'll have strange bodily sensations. This is all connected to the fasting that I told you about. It's a biological reaction. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm interested in a lot of things, and it's all related to in some way related to the God thing I was telling you about. But before we move on to callers, I want to go back again. Again, don't miss what I just said to you. The antidote to LSD or LSD experience or LSD hallucinations, the antidote to mescaline hallucinations, which means the antidote to marijuana hallucinations, because the level of THC in marijuana today is so high that many people are experiencing the equivalent of what they used to get on LSD in the 60s or 70s. They are getting very, very sick from this stuff. And if you have a child who's freaking out on marijuana overdoses, I really recommend that you look into vitamin B3 and niacin. Get yourself a bottle of it. It'll stop it immediately. It's the antidote. No doctor will tell you that, of course, because they don't want you to have an antidote. They want you to remain a normal Democrat, progressive, who believes in fantasy, such as the miracles of Barack Obama, that he was for the poor, or that man is destroying the earth. Let's see. Let me give you the other litany. Or Donald Trump is worse than the devil and everything evil on the planet. Every childhood fable of evil, all put together don't add up to the evil of Donald Trump. See, stupid nation of idiots. How many dimensions do you think I think in at once? You think I think in 2, 3? You're wrong. Paul, WABC line 2, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. I just wanted to check in, as you were mentioning peyote and mescaline and LSD, mushrooms. I've done them all at one time or another. And so just wanted to see what your idea was or what questions you might have. It's all been a pretty good experience.
What did it do for you when you were taking those drugs? I mean, did you gain anything positive out of it?
Well, I think what it does is gives you that interdimensionality you were just talking about. It's like a tool to open that part of your consciousness.
But what did you discover? That all the women you were abusing in your life were a result of what your mother did to you or something?
Well, I mean, I can tell you a good story.
That was it. Come on, that was a joke. See how fast that was? It was meant to be a joke. That was just a joke.
one time with mushrooms particularly, I've done peyote and formal ceremony. I mean, we'd have to talk a long time to get into all of it, but the mushrooms particularly...
What do you mean, a formal ceremony where, on East 7th Street or in the desert?
Well, in a teepee, and then it doesn't matter if it's in...
up in Woodstock. Okay, I got it. You and the other hippies from Katz's Deli.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it was with a Navajo roadman who brings quite a line of tradition and medicine with him.
I understand, but let me ask you something. If you had a tumor, would you go to him or would you go to the Maimonides Hospital?
Well, I'm quite an herbalist. I had a brother...
And don't think I'm a cynic on natural healing. I wrote Earth Medicine. I wrote many books on natural healing, so I'm aware of it. I understand it. I respect it. But it becomes a point where Western medicine is the king.
I don't, in a holistic approach, I really would just consider all of the options.
All right, I understand. I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way. When I had the side effect to what I just had over the weekend, they wanted me in the ER room. Instead, I used all of my nostrums, and they all worked.
I mean, I don't take any medicine, so far, I mean, my life is taking care of itself in that way, I think, by being open to most things.
How old are you, Paul?
56.
All right, you hit a point where by now you would know. You know, to thine own self be true and be your own doctor. Physician, heal thyself. It works.
I'm quite I mean, I'm an herbalist, a practicing herbalist. I don't know a lot about making tinctures and like that, but I've some make salves and...
Good for you. That's a beautiful thing to do. I'm not knocking it. I wrote so many books on it. I was once into it more than any other thing on earth. But there's so much to be learned in the world of herbs, and there's so much charlatanism, which I'm sure you're aware of, that people are naturally leery of it. You know that.
I do it.
All right, look, I don't want to belabor this. I'm so happy that you're a listener. That's all I can tell you. And since you're a listener, I'm not sending you Trump's War. I think I'm going to send you Teddy and Me. I think you'd enjoy the dog book better. I mean, everybody likes Teddy. Peed on the whole house. All the other dogs were there over the Mother's Day. It's sickening. He's 13 years old. It's like, you think he's through that phase? Can't. Because, like, the relatives brought down a new puppy, like a girl dog, a big, doubled his size. She's 45 pounds, and she's still a puppy. It's like a Bernese. Big, beautiful dog. They always smile a little. Like, they're bred for pulling carts in Czechoslovakia. I don't know. Wherever, in Switzerland, they like pull carts in the snow happily. They smile. They're such beautiful dogs, our little Saint Bernard. So it's a girl, and she's like lopes around the house. I love dogs. They all have different personalities. But Teddy couldn't help himself. He had to mark the whole house. 13 years old. You'd think he would have matured already. He still thinks he's a hot number? You think by peeing on the curtain, she's going to go for him? I don't understand. That part of the dog behavior I can't relate to. It just gets me mad. You want him to put a clothespin on that part of his body, and knock it off already. Anyway, I still love the little character. Musician, KSFO, where am I? Time-wise good? Very good. Here I am, Paul on KSFO, line 6 from San Francisco. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Michael, yes, I heard you talking about LSD and interested in people who did use it and why, and I was pretty reckless in my youth. I'm a guitar player and a musician. I'm very passionate about music. So in my youth, I was influenced a couple times to see, what it's all about. It was just a curiosity. But the bottom line was I would sit in my room after 8 hours and everything was spinning and turning, and I would say, make it stop. It wasn't fun. It wasn't good. I mean, at first, it's like a novelty. You see things twist and turn, and I'm screwing up my brain. But it was just a reckless kind of period in my life. And I
understand. And so, in other words, it destroyed your ability to be a musician who had control over his instrument.
Oh, yeah. I'm a guitar player 40 years, and I write and record my own music, and, smoked a little...
Why do you think why are so many people, and they're not all young, why are they so enamored on getting high right now with medical marijuana, so to speak? What do they think they're going to achieve by getting high all the time?
Because they're a bunch of sheep, and they think it's okay. I'm 55, so I look at today's youth, and I just think, like all the things that you say about them, they're a bunch of dummies and sheep.
But Paul, you look around today in the white suburbs today. Do you know how much drug use there is here between alcohol and medical marijuana? Do you know that many of these people are stoned all the time?
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania, and heroin and opioids are a huge, huge problem because kids just have no focus, no drive.
No. I think I didn't make my point. Not kids. I'm talking about middle-aged white people are drug addicts now, and you wouldn't even know it. They're silent drug addicts.
Early in their youth, and they just haven't died off yet. Hopefully we're getting a smarter generation of kids and people, coming up. Like my son is 15, and I make sure that he doesn't go down that road. But you're just going to have to for that.
You want to hear something interesting about that? That's funny you should bring it up. Yesterday I walked in the town I used to live in with my son, who's a grown man. Great kid, great man. And we walked past a Little League field, and the boys were playing. It was Sunday morning. It was a normal Norman Rockwell Sunday morning. And he said, can we watch a half an inning? He knows I don't like sports. I'm bored of them. So we leaned over the little fence, and we watched the little kids playing. And he brought back all of the great memories of his childhood. And he said how good sports were for him and how almost every kid he knows who played sports avoided drugs. It's an interesting statement, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a general statement you could make, but...
Of course it is. I know that many kids go into the drug world anyway, but by and large, a kid has to stay pretty straight to play well on a team, doesn't he?
Yeah, if a kid is focused on sports, whatever he does, and he's good at it and wants to get better, they're not going to divert and scatter and spend...
Right. Throw the bat into the stands because it looks good to see the bat flying into someone's head.
They want to get good.
Right.
They want to get better.
How do you survive as a musician here in the San Francisco area, being obviously not into the left-wing mania? How do you survive the whole world? What, do you keep it to yourself?
Well, I started out as a liberal, kind of a hippie kid, like I told you, but I see the wrong in it, and my whole family's liberal, and it kind of prevents me from, dealing with them or kind of scratching the list because I don't agree with them anymore. My dad says he's a good socialist, but, he cares more about all the strangers in the world than his own family and his grandkids.
Oh, God, one of those situations. There's no better cure for a socialist than to go visit a socialist nation. He ought to start with the number one socialist nation in South America, which used to have a booming middle class, and now they're fighting over a zoo animal for food.
Absolutely.
Right? And they're killing zoo animals to eat. They don't understand any of this. They just don't get it. And I can't, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life worrying about what people know and don't know. I can't do it. I want to enjoy the rest of my life on radio. I want to tell you that. One of the things I came out of this thing with, whatever it is, this minor little surgery I had, is I just really want to try to enjoy my radio career. I don't want to really agonize over it anymore. There's too much agony in this business. I can't worry about whether Trump's going this way or that way every minute. I'm sick of it, the whole thing. And this is why I'm talking about God today and LSD or mescaline or anything else. Because I can't make my whole life wrapped around whether Trump burps or not. I'll be right back. Be here or be nowhere.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Okay, you're talking about drugs. You're talking about drug addicts. You're talking about insane liberal lawyers. This just came out. Trump put out a travel ban. Made perfect sense to anybody who wants to survive and not be overrun by Muslims, right? Sorry, that's the way it is. So he limits the travel ban to nations known to have a high percentage of Islamists in Muslim countries. The dumb judge in Hawaii says his executive order is unconstitutional, and it violates the First Amendment of Muslims because honor killings are Islamic. I didn't make this up. The lawyer named Neil Katyal, representing the state of Hawaii in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit Court of Schlemiels, said that any reference to honor killings should be removed from President Trump's executive order in order to, quote, pass constitutional muster. Now, I'd like to pass this guy some constitutional mustard, because he needs a good emetic. What's missing from this maniac's mind is the meaning of the law rather than the technicality of the law. He's now saying that honor killings, murder committed in the name of restoring a Muslim family's dignity, that's Islamic? This is how far we've fallen as a nation? And now you've heard the entire story about the use of drugs amongst the legal class, amongst the judges, especially those in the Ninth Circuit Court of Schlemiels, which must be broken up to save America.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture, and here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
It is hour 3. I'm a little tired. I'll be with you. I mean, the after effects of that thing, I'm exhausted from it. Not eating that day, and then the drugs, and the this, and the fear. Not a big deal. I know real surgery's a bigger deal, but I'm here. I did 2 hours. I'm tired now. I'm bored of it all. I'm not bored, just, like, look at the news. Every day is the same anti-Trump crap. Can't these diminutive polyps do anything else? Can't a guy like Anderson Cooper get a job, do something for a living? Other than bash Trump? And then the diminutive polyp in a cecum is more interesting to me than Anderson Cooper. Has more personality than these jerks. That's all they do. Day in and day out, they think that that's the news business. There's violence against sanity. And what did Trump actually do that's impeachable? Nothing. But what did Obama do that's actually impeachable? A few things. He created the greatest surveillance state in history, number one, lied about it, number two. What did Hillary do? They funneled money into a private fund, avoided taxes, all impeachable stuff. Of course, she didn't win, thank God. So we got to say, okay, well, thank God she didn't win. So a lot of people are, oh boy, I made a mistake. No, you didn't make a mistake. All you got to do is think about her winning. Every time you think maybe Trump's this, Trump's that, just think if she had won. Now let's move on. So in the first hour or two, I talked about God, and then I talked about mescaline, LSD, and a number of other items along the way. I don't remember what. Some of it was pretty good, and a lot of people calling in on that. You look at the news. There's nothing in the news. It's all anti-Trump, all the time, day and night. Or some slut in Hollywood whose brassiere fell off on 42nd Street, or another one makes believe she was beaten in a home invasion. I mean, what these psychos do to get in the newspapers is unbelievable to me. They set themselves on fire to just get for 2 seconds in page 6. Chef who killed trans wife undone by smell of boiled human flesh. And you wonder why people turn off to the media. You know what I'm saying? Kellyanne Conway secretly hates Trump, according to 2 losers on MSNBC that no one watches, with less than 1 million viewers a year. Unbelievable to me. Who watches those 2 jerks? No wonder people turn away. I turn away from it. Alec Baldwin. You want to find a career again, try to act instead of imitating Donald Trump. That's his big deal, a schmuck. He always was I never liked Alec Baldwin. He struck me as the kind of thug, schoolyard bully his whole life. Leon DiCaprio to play NYPD detective who led crusade against mob. He is the greatest hypocrite. Great actor, Leon DiCaprio, but with the yachts and the girlfriends and the jets, and he talks about global warming, and I'm supposed to believe a word that they say? What now? What's in the business world? Oh, the market's doing good. There's a hack going on around the world. I think it's North Korea. That's my guess. Oh, yeah. That's what I think is Kim Chi's doing it. I think old Kim's doing this one. They got smart guys there, like if they do anything wrong, they get tortured to death. It's a great incentive to do it right. Like in America, if you do something wrong and the boss complains about you, the boss gets sued. In North Korea, if you do something wrong and the boss don't like it, he turns you into animal fodder. Like he feeds you to the soybeans. Forget about feeding you to the cattle. He turns you into a soybean. Makes you soybean fertilizer. So it tends to bring out the best in you, that fear of dying. Oh, God, what now? What's in the newspaper? There's nothing to talk about. So I go to the horoscope sometimes in the middle of it all. So stupid. How could one horoscope apply to everyone under your sign? How is that even possible? Unexpected events will make this an interesting start to the week, Aries, and you may find yourself moving in directions that are entirely new to you. Being the adventurous sort, you won't mind a bit. Things have been a bit dull lately, so why not? Yeah, right. As soon as the show is over, I'm going to take a nap. Then I'm going to wake up groggy and depressed. And I was like, what am I going to do with myself till tomorrow? I got to find something to do in the afternoons. That's the problem. After the show, there's nothing. It's so boring. Maybe I need another show, like a night show. Maybe I don't do enough radio. Maybe I should do another one at night, like a nutrition and health show. Yeah, Mike, do a nutrition and health. Wait, then I could do another one in the morning, a God show, or just on Sundays, a religious show. Comey I'm bored of. What did Comey actually ever do, the hero of the left? Oh, let's see, he put Martha Stewart away for nothing. Put a poor woman in jail. That's what he did while crime was raging. Then when he was director of the FBI, the Muslim was setting off bombs and killing. He did nothing, even though he was following them. And Schumer wants to be president. You know, of all of the leftists out there, the only one, you tell me Maxine Waters is going to run? Trump's so bad that she could win? No. The whole pack, here's what could happen. If this keeps up and Trump doesn't listen to me and the other wise men in the media who put him where he is, what's going to happen is we're going to have a left-wing fanatic take over. It'll either be Pocahontas. It won't be Maxine Waters. She's unelectable. Please, come on. She's as cogent as Nancy Pelosi on fish oils. Schumer, on the other hand, might. Bigfoot could see he's definitely pulling for that one. Let me just hear his voice for a minute. I like Schumer. Let's hear 06. Let's hear his voice.
There's a crisis of credibility with the president. I mean, so many things, there's so much factual fabrication.
Okay, fine, right. But you've had no problem with Obama creating the greatest surveillance state in history. No problem with Hillary funneling money to her husband's foundation. Come on, who believes you? You have to be high on corned beef to listen to a word this guy says. Again, Russia. Russia. Let's have war with Russia. Russia. How are you today? Russia. LA delis. Hey, you like the bagel? Russia. I'll have a bagel with a schmear and some Russia on the side. Who's a schmuck clapper? All of a sudden, it's like wonk, behind the scenes CIA spook. Everywhere you turn, there he is putting down Trump. Who is this guy? Unbelievable to me. Newly crowned Miss USA. Miss USA doesn't consider herself a feminist, says. So she's a black lady. She wins Miss USA, and they go crazy because she's a conservative. And then she says she doesn't think that health care is a right. Oh, that's unbelievable. And she's a scientist, too. She committed 3 crimes. She's a minority who's a conservative. She's beautiful. And she doesn't believe the government should be superior to everything else. So they're attacking her. Listen to 17. Listen to clip 7. Here's newly crowned Miss USA, who says she's not a feminist. She's a scientist now. Listen to her number 17.
As a woman scientist in the government, I've liked to lately transpose the word feminism to equalism. I don't really want to try not to consider myself like this, like die hard, I don't really care about men. But one thing I'm going to say is, though, women, we are just as equal as men when it comes to opportunity in the workplace.
Oh, God, I wish she had been first lady instead of you-know-who. God, wouldn't that have been great? The one who made believe she was an inner-city woman who was oppressed. You know the one, Michelle? The one who's living at the top of the... Yeah, right. Here's another one. Crazy Eye Zachariah. I always thought he was a double. From the day I first saw him with those eyes of his. Now he says Trump poses a danger to American democracy. I like to just look at him to see the face of a madman. Listen to number 18.
I have tried to evaluate Donald Trump's presidency fairly. I've praised him when he was appointed...
All right, I'll take the papadum, please. Just cut out the lecturing. Just give me the papadum with some hot sauce on the side and cut out the political lecture. Oh, let's hear him again.
Criticism from some quarters. But there has always been another aspect to this presidency, lurking beneath the surface, sometimes erupting into full view as it did this week.
Sir, I didn't come here to hear about, please, I'll take the papadum. I'd like a nice chicken curry. And if you don't mind, make the rice a nice basmati, but I want it soft, okay? I don't want to hear a lecture. Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying? It's enough already from him. I hope that insults him. I really do. I hope he gets mad. I hope he tries to do something over that. Stupid. Who does he think he's fooling with those psycho eyes? Like, if you study, sometimes I do, like, I'm bored. I go on sites like, crime pictures. I used to do that. I used to look at crime photos of New York from the 30s and 40s. There was this guy who used to run around with one of those flashbulb cameras. Like, wherever there was a crime, he had a police scanner. He'd be there before the cops were there and get, like, the bloody gore. The mafia guy shot at a table with the check tablecloth. I forgot his name. He was always there. But one of the things I used to like to look at were, like, pictures of crazy people when you were able to call them crazy people. And if you look at, like, turn of the last century, not this century, like 1899 era, people were still, put in a bug house before medication. And you look at the eyes and the faces of the poor people in the bug jobs, in the bug houses. Half the people in media, you match the faces, or the woman who got O'Reilly off TV, that one. You put a burqa on her, and you look at the eyes, a bug. A bug. Crazy. Most of them are nuts. It goes back again to either the genes, the drugs, the mother. I'm not sure what it was. Look at the mother. She came from, wow, Mom and you. Okay, let's go to some calls now. I got a new affiliate that took me live. KPRC in Houston is a huge station. I was DB'd, now I'm live. I got to take this call. He's great. Dwayne on KPRC in Houston, Texas. You're on the Savage Nation. What's on your mind, Dwayne?
Yes, sir. I spent 10 years in public service as a firefighter, and, I heard you talking about God. You can't help but realize there is a God after I've seen what I've seen, so such as getting lost, firemen getting lost in a building, trying to find their way out, almost out of there, but they find a hose that goes out the back door. Then they tell their commander that, hey, I found my way out because of the hose in the back door, and he goes, everything's running through the front.
There was no hose in the back door.
That's correct, sir.
Well, that's why I said, I wasn't joking when I said I saw my mother in a dream the night before I went in for that little surgery, and she was trying to pray for me. I know my mother's in heaven, and I know there's a God in heaven, and I believe it. And I don't need the cynics on HBO to tell me I'm stupid. It doesn't matter what they think. All that matters is my faith. That's what matters to me.
Exactly. And, those people like that are such small-minded, they can't understand that.
Absolutely. I have a new name for them. I have a new name for all of those people. And I don't need to insult them because they insult our intelligence by thinking they speak for humanity. God served man pretty good for the centuries. And as I said, half of those people in the news business are of less interest to me than a polyp in an intestine. All right, Dwayne, I'm sending you a copy of Trump's War because I want to talk about that for 1 second. People say, well, isn't your book irrelevant now? I thought about it. No, it's actually more relevant now because it's the only record of what he promised and what we elected him for. I keep repeating that to people. Trump's War has legs for a reason. Every chapter is based upon what he promised us, what we told him we wanted, what we thought we were going to get, period. And so, therefore, unless we have a track record of what we elected him for, we're going to forget what we elected him for. It seems to me that he's forgotten what he was elected for. Well, I hope I get an opportunity to meet the president again, and I hope I can sit with him and this time over dessert talk about Trump's War and say to him, look, the deplorables really count. They put you where you are, Mr. President. They can keep you where you are. Please stop listening to your liberal advisors. They're steering you in the wrong direction. Hey, this is the Savage Nation. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Well, my loyal friends, I just got the ratings in for last month, and The first ones that come in are always from New York City, WABC. And I am pleased to announce that I'm ranked number 1 once again on WABC, in persons 2554 and in persons 12 plus. So thank you for listening wherever you may be. 2554, then on the bottom is 12 plus. Open that. Savage Nation, Michael Savage, number 1. Nice, very nice, very good. I'm proud of myself, very good. That means the listeners like me there. But there's no AQH attached, which I don't understand. It's like a missing link. But okay, it's number 1, which is important to me. Because, you know, we live and die. It's like To Live and Die. And I played Live and Die in L.A. theme song, we got it, because it's like To Live and Die in Radio Land. It's amazing to be this competitive at this stage of my life. What's wrong with me? Why don't I not care like everyone else? Why do I not care? I do care. I'm about the most competitive person you'll ever meet. Isn't that odd? I guess that's what makes for survival. Because if you're a competitive person, you take care of yourself, right? You make sure that you do your push-ups at night, you brush your teeth, you get your colonoscopy on time, because you want to live. Isn't that a mark of wanting to live? It is. So I think competitiveness is very good. And up to a point, I mean, but, you know, beyond a certain point, it's madness. Anyway, we're having a good time today. Just God, mescaline, LSD. What happened to you on a mescaline trip? I'm not interested. What happened to you on a mescaline trip? I think you shouldn't use buttons. I think that all you got to do is look at what it does to people in the long run. You'll realize that these drug users destroyed themselves. It's that simple. And there's too much drug use in America, whether they be legal drugs, whether they be psychoactive legal drugs or illegal drugs, or alcohol for that matter. Because a minute, oh, why do you drink alcohol? I'm not selling alcohol. Somebody has to come up with an anti-drug program in this country. An anti-drug and alcohol program is so overdue. And I got to tell you this, Trump needs to hit the God thing more. He's got to hit it a lot more, and he's got to hit it a lot harder. I thought about that last week. That's a missing link in the Trump administration. I know he spoke at Liberty University, but, before he did, I was thinking about it. We had this atheist in the White House for 8 years, Obama. Just totally disregarded that whole tradition of the president going to church. It was like, oh, scoffer, who cares? Okay, Clinton used to fake it with the big Bible, oversized Bible, fake cross, the whole thing. We knew that. Then you had Obama, who didn't even care at all. They loved him for it. The atheists just ate it up. Well, now we have Trump. Why can't he be seen going into a church as he was during the campaign? Remember that? Why doesn't he just put on the show on Sunday, even if it's a show? I want to see him and Melania go to church. How do you like that? See, if I were his Lee Atwater, if I was his advisor, it's church on Sunday, period. End of story. No less adult interviews, and more to come.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Supreme Court throws out North Carolina voter ID bid. Oh, no, I saw that one. I'll tell you about that. And then I'll tell you about the cyber attack, who I think is doing it. I'll tell you right now, North Korea. How come all the geniuses in the media, no one said North Korea? Everyone's getting hit, but why wouldn't it be North Korea? Russia got hit. Asian governments got hit. Businesses are erupted. It's North Korea. Who else is doing it? Okay, Mr. Kim Chi is doing it. He's showing you that he's got the power to cyber attack the world. Don't underestimate this guy. That's all I can say. Or as Donald Trump said, he's one smart cookie. That was really great. That was a smart one. Really high up there on the list of things to remember. That's a quotable. He's one smart cookie. But, you know, compared to the people at Harvard, I would say Kim Jong-un is a genius. Here's a guy at Harvard named Lawrence Tribe. I guess it's called Tribe. He always thought he was going to be appointed to the Supreme Court by Barack Obama, but he didn't. He's like a bitter, nasty old woman. Trump must be impeached. This is a constitutional professor at Harvard saying Trump must be impeached with no evidence whatsoever. Tribe is off the reservation. That's all I can say. This little guy, this diminutive polyp named Lawrence Tribe. You got to hear him in clip one. Listen to this diminutive polyp.
He has shown no respect for the rule of law. He regards himself as above the law. He thinks it's appropriate to essentially have a job interview with the FBI director. As we now know, the FBI director wanted to be reappointed, and the president essentially told him, well, we'll see. It depends. Will you plead loyalty to me? Well, kings and monarchs and
See, now he's expanding now. This is what he got away with at Harvard, teaching drug addicts for his entire life. And because there's no evidence here. There's not a scintilla of evidence, while there were mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence against Hillary Clinton, Lawrence Trieb, and how about all the crimes that his boss, Barry Obama, committed while Barry Obama ran roughshod over the Constitution for 8 straight years? You know, the same Barry Obama who is the man who represents all the poor of the earth. You know him. You know the Nobel Prize winning man. You know the very same guy who just got a $70 million book advance and $400,000 for a speech. You know that guy, the man of the people. The guy who's been on one yacht after another of trillionaires. That guy. He was not impeachable, though, was he? He was not above the law. He didn't consider himself above the law. He didn't consider himself above the American people. He didn't obstruct justice. He didn't create the greatest surveillance state in the history of the world. He didn't do any of that thing. But where was Lawrence Trieb then? He was lecturing and browbeating his stupid students at Harvard because he wanted to be a Supreme Court justice. And now he thinks that his time has come to suddenly speak. Tribe, you're off the reservation. That's all I can tell you. I don't know what you're smoking, baby, but it's not good weed. I mean, I have the news. Supreme Court throws out North Carolina voter ID law. First thing I saw that, I said, oh, we got screwed by Gorsuch. I said, no, we didn't, because it was 4-4. All they did was uphold the lower commie court. No, okay. Let's see when it's got the 5-4 court and they reintroduce the bill. I was going to do that. Weekend news stories. Assange and Snowden, they're the ultimate villains of the cyber attack. They are. They are. They're the ones who stole. They're the ones who stole the data, the keys to the computer technology from NHS, CIA, DIA, NSA, MI6, Mossad, DGSE. Didn't they steal it? They're the villains. They are the villains. Assange and Snowden are the villains of the cyber attack. Now, there's more. James Comey, you want me to get started on him? His claim to fame, he put Martha Stewart in jail. A real brave guy. You hear? With all the crime in New York, he put Martha Stewart away. Wow. What a great guy he was. He really has his priorities straightened out. So at the Mother's Day dinner last night in the restaurant, I had 2 mothers at the table, my wife and my daughter, who's also a mother. And I thought about how significant this is and how beautiful a holiday it really is, Mother's Day. Maybe it started as a Hallmark card birthday, a holiday. But when you celebrate women like that, and not just women, not the screecher, screaming, bomb throwers. I'm talking about women, mothers. Mothers, the backbone of the entire society. They bear the burden. Father, makes the baby with the mother, but what does he really do? His body doesn't get affected by it. The mother, think about what the poor woman has to go through to bear a child. We never ever talk about that. It's hidden. The woman's body is so heavily assaulted by childbirth. You do know all of this. The poor woman has to deal with all of this. The man's nothing. It's like a gadfly. There he is, flies in and flies out. So you have to respect women. You have to really take care of them. That's the whole point of it. We're talking about mothers. We're not talking about Joy Behar types. We're not talking about the other type, the basters. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the authentic biological mothers. How's that? You don't like it? It's too bad. Go read your book of the devil. You don't like what I'm saying? Go worship your book of the devil. Get out your pentagram. So I'm at the table, and I had my first glass of wine or 3 before anyone sat down. I opened up a great bottle of wine. I've been holding a Bourgogne, Loire Valley. Wow, it makes Sauvignon Blanc taste like what it is, which is toilet water. So, I was a little, 6 sheets to the wind, just on 2 glasses of wine. So the restaurant's crowded. I said, I want to make a toast to the mothers at the table. All right, so he's going to figure he got to do that. And I said, were it not for you wouldn't be here. It was not for you, baby wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? So it's the whole continuity. And I said, if it wasn't for the mothers in heaven, I wouldn't be here. She wouldn't be here. We all wouldn't be here. Now, when you make a little statement like that, a little prayer like that, as trivial as it may sound or as trite, it's actually not trite. It's quite profound. It reminds you of a few things, like you weren't born out of the blue. Maybe the drug addicts on HBO think that they were born unto themselves out of their own anus. Perhaps they thought that they made themselves, but they didn't. They come from mother. They come from woman. Maybe they don't want to recognize that, but it makes you recognize that. It puts you in context. That's number one. Number two, it creates a finality to your life. There's a finite limit to your life. You're not going to be on television forever in your makeup, screaming at everybody like you're God. You're on HBO with a fake audience. Take a look at a guy like Bill Maher. To me, he's one of the most despicable people in the history of the media. To me, he's nothing but a diminutive polyp. I'd be more interested in looking at a diminutive polyp in a colon than listening to this man on HBO. That's what I think of him and all of the other left-wing fanatics who hate God. A diminutive polyp in the cecum would be of more interest to me. They should be removed with a cold biopsy forceps from television if I had anything to do with it. If I had anything to do with it, I'd remove them from the airwaves for poisoning the minds of the people. Anyway, whatever. So there it is. So it's beautiful, that's all. It reminds you that you're not alone. You didn't give birth to yourself. You're part of a continuum. You have a lifespan, like a Drosophila, and you're going to die one day. So, do the right thing, man. That's as simple as that. So we're talking about different things. Comey. We want to look at Comey. I'll tell you what Trump's missing. He's missing a Roy Cohn. That's it. He doesn't have an aggressive, smart, brilliant attack dog. He doesn't have one around him that can do that for him. And if you want to talk about the whole Comey mishap, I'll tell you exactly what was wrong here. It was not firing Comey. It was the way it was done and the timing. He's leaving, Wednesday Erdogan is coming here. That I cannot figure out. I can figure it out a little bit. Erdogan of Turkey, who said flood Jerusalem with Muslims, is coming on Wednesday. That should be nice. I hope he shakes Jared Kushner's hand. That should be good. That's Erdogan on Wednesday. Then he's leaving for Europe, I guess. The president is on Friday, I guess. Big trip. Big trip. He should have gone on the trip and had Comey fired while he was away. Wouldn't have been a big deal. But he made it personal, as I said last week. Became like a street fight in Queens. Shouldn't have been that way. Timing was wrong. There's nobody there advising him properly. And I'm going to give you another example, if you want to hear it. Well, you wouldn't be tuned in if you didn't want to hear it. So here it is anyway. He did an interview with this guy, Lester Dolt. Not the brightest one in the media. This one, you could see right off the bat, is not on the top of the heap of the IQ, in the IQ department. I saw it during the debates. Don't you remember what Lester Dolt did to him? Why would he even submit himself to an interview with Lester Dolt? That's number one. I would have put an X through it, say, what, are you kidding me? After what that SOB did to me? No, let him go, where? Let him go interview Pocahontas. Okay, so then he goes to the interview with Dolt, and what happens next? You turn on the Drudge Report. There was a picture of the President of the United States sitting across from Lester Dolt, some guy from CBS, just a guy from CBS, and they're in equal-sized chairs, and Trump is sitting on the edge of his chair, leaning forward, as though Lester Dolt is the president, and he's a student who's in there to be admonished by the principal. I said, who's advising him? You don't let a president diminish himself like this. He doesn't have anyone around him who's media-wise. That's number one. I can tell you off the bat, nobody in his entire Department of Communications. You want to start firing someone, Donald? Start with your communications director who won't let you come on talk radio. He is the biggest schmuck that you have around you. Send you to Liberty University? Was it 12,000 people saw that speech? My AQH is 400,000 every 15 minutes. Where are you, Donald Trump? They're asking. Nowhere to be found because they're keeping you away from me. They hate conservatives. They think that we're all deplorables, and they are destroying you. That's number one. Get rid of your communications director. And number two, the next time you agree to an interview, have somebody advise you on how to sit, what angle to sit at. Make sure you're in a higher seat than the interviewer. Number three, make sure that the camera angles are right. No one there. He doesn't have a director. See, it's all wrong. Obama had it all down. He knew how to do this. He had Hollywood people around him. They advised him properly to make him look far better than he was. And so he got away with it for 8 straight years. He always was looking imperial, remember? Whenever Obama gave an interview, he was the imperial wizard, sitting up there up high. And the media guy was what he is, which is a diminutive polyp. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The news stories that we pulled. Supreme Court throws out North Carolina voter ID bid, killing law. No, it doesn't. It really didn't kill the law. It killed it for now. And if this government had guts, we'd refile this case. And when we get 5-4, a full Supreme Court, we vote again. Okay, weekend news. These are the stories I pulled over the weekend. Assange and Snowden, they are the ultimate villains of the cyber attack. Agreed. Because they ripped off the codes out of the CIA, and they are the ones responsible for this. As it was written, it says, freedom doesn't mean shouting fire in a crowded theater. Is it time to make Bitcoin and WikiLeaks illegal? Wow, good question. Let's see, James Comey, not just incompetent, but he placed American lives at risk. Steve Baldwin, American Spectator. Very true. The only thing that Comey ever did, crime was raging around them. Terrorists were setting off bombs and killing people. He put Martha Stewart in jail. That's who James Comey is. He was not the straight shooting Boy Scout that he made himself look like. He was not Elliot Ness at all. He was a fraud. Let's see another one. Take a tour of the luxurious Italian villa where the Obamas are reportedly vacationing. From the Business Insider. Oh, yeah. I've been having a good time. Richard Branson's private Necker Island, Marlon Brando's former island in Tahiti. Then they went to Milan, Italy, where he gave a big speech for millions of dollars on climate change. I love that. He's sitting on one billionaire's yacht after another. You know what kind of diesel fuel they burn? Does anyone know what diesel fuel is burned on a super yacht? I do. You want the gallons per hour off the generator alone? Awful lot of carbon emission on that one. Now he's going to the Tuscan countryside, the man of the people. He's going to Borgo Finocchietto. What is it, Borgo Finocchio? No, Borgo Finocchietto. Borgo Finocchio? No, Borgo. I'm not good with Italian, pardon me. Borgo Finocchietto, a luxurious hilltop villa in Buon Convento, where he'll be joined by his wife, Michelle. Oh, that's who his wife is. How do you like that? I never knew that. Borgo Finocchietto is a private village made up of 5 houses that can house up to 44 guests, 6 acres. And so that's where your president, the man of the people, is going. He's going to... It's so predictably middle class and boring. Why do they all want to go to these places? I wouldn't go there for 10 minutes. The Tuscan countryside, I'd have to call a helicopter to get me out of there after one night. I wouldn't sleep for 2 seconds. Just to listening to who wants to be there? If I want to go to the Tuscan countryside, you know what I do? I don't go there, number one. Number two, I go to North Beach in San Francisco and I go into a Tuscan restaurant if I can find one that approximates it with like wall murals of Tuscany. Right? I have a bowl of spaghetti Toscanino and a glass of wine from Tuscany and go home. And I'm in my own bed with my own pillow. Why would you want to go there? What's the big deal about Tuscany? There was a movie made about it. So middle class. It's so predictable and boring. You sit in a farmhouse that's been converted. You go out of your mind. I can't take those places. Why do people do such things? This is all he wanted to do. The years he was ruining the world, 8 years, he wanted to go to Tuscany? And Necker Island with that guy, Branson? What's on Necker Island? What's he going to get there? I went past Necker Island last spring, actually, on a tour of the British Virgin Islands on a friend's yacht. It's really quite beautiful. The BVI is like my favorite place now. It's a little boring, but nice. Water's beautiful. And clean, nice. All of the swindlers live there. Very well maintained. All the swindlers hide their money in the BVI. They all have these great villas. They fly in and fly out. All the money that's hidden and stolen goes into the banks over there. Nice place. No litter on the ground. No crime. A lot of mosques going up in the American U.S. Virgin Islands. Oh, yeah, lots of mosques. Wherever you turn. Allah be great. Yeah. So let's see what else is in the news. We did Lawrence Tribe, who's off the reservation. British World War II veteran, 101 years of age, breaks skydiving record. Can you believe this? A 101-year-old D-Day veteran has become the oldest person in the world to skydive. Bryson William Verdun Hayes 15,000 feet, with members of his family in southwestern England. Among those jumping were Hayes' son, grandson, great-grandson, and great-great-granddaughter. What? That's awesome. He wanted to try skydiving when he was 90, but was talked out of it at the time by his late wife. He jumped the first time last year at 100. You hear this? What you could do it in you don't have to give up and die. Hayes served in the British Army during World War II and was awarded Francis